Should this really be a change initiative or should this be an improvement initiative? So, themes from the book, as far as our toolkit, include things that are practical. Create space, which is practical but challenging, in order to create conversations around clarity and identify things that do bring stability, like rituals for people. And that can really help the entire organization to land the right solution in a right way.
The first myth that we want to talk about is leaders need to manage change. The reality is we need to think maybe of ourselves as leaders instead of thinking of ourselves as managing change. So instead of trying to just manage all the things that are coming onto our plates as a leader, what do we need to stop? What do we need to hold back? What do we need to take out of the system in order to move things forward?
I think the biggest piece, so you can see the 5 pillars here, 2 things that we did to really provide clarity and transparency. I think that was really key. And, as Janice talked about, that stability, employees want to feel that they have that safety aspect. So we worked with managers. We did a lot of manager workshops. We called them engage workshops. And in those workshops, we focused on managers who are working with their employees to leverage their strengths, put them on projects that use their strengths. And the positive thing about Orbis was people really liked the company and they liked their roles. So it was pretty easy to align them to their strengths. So that was really key.
So for the breakouts today, we're going to divide into 4 groups to discuss the myths. And the intention is that you bring back some practical tips.
We talked about the value of finding small wins and keeping everyone involved. There's a lot of conversation that there are going to be messy areas, and so being able to help people navigate through that by finding where there are successes and building momentum is a huge part of what makes these efforts effective.
We were looking at the myth leaders need to manage change and really wanted to flip the paradigm away from managing and dragging and commanding and directing to more engaging, motivating, and inspiring through dialogue, through inquiry, through creating a safe environment, through building trust by opening up and asking and engaging and pausing, and then clarifying that we're in it together. So it's less about what I'm going to do to you or what I represent that's going to impact you, and more about stepping up as a leader to set the tone for change.
So ours was 3, a compelling vision statement will calm people during change. So we talked about how we could get buy-in for the change and build trust by explaining the why the change, what's in it for everyone. You have to address each org, each group, and address their why specifically and what's in it for them specifically. We talked about a top-down approach and explaining the why at every level there, so VP, director, manager, and getting that buy-in throughout and having a consistent message coming from the top, and then the VPs repeated, directors, managers, and also involving the right groups just in time for that change before commanding out a change.
One of the first things that we talked about was how oftentimes organizations and leaders will use restructures in order to force relationships that aren't happening naturally, and thinking that in doing that, that will force the relationship. And so we've seen, or what we've seen is that that's really the case. So finding ways to build those relationships naturally and intentionally instead of forcing it